Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission in the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us, podcastevolved@gmail.com. Drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Ark mission from Halo 3 on the next episode. This episode, we're debriefing the Floodgate mission from Halo 3. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krysta Brown.
I hope you brought your swimsuits, because it's about to get wet.
Yeah. Splash.
Because
nasty.
Floodgate.
Oh, yeah, because of the water. Wait, what?
Or maybe because the flood are kind of liquidy. I don't know.
They're kind of wet.
Yeah, they're kind of gross and
slimy.
wet. So.
Moist.
I think if you would touch a flood, you'd be just covered in gross green slime.
You'd probably need a towel. You're right.
Yeah. Don't. If you ever see a flood, try not to touch them.
Last mission was the Storm. With the fate of humanity in doubt, Chief and the UNSC Marines cleared out the Covenant's anti-air defenses in order to begin the final assault on the Prophet of Truth's dreadnought. Chief and company managed to take out multiple Wraiths, a Scarab, and an anti-aircraft cannon to clear the way for Lord Hood's fleet. However, the attack is too little, too late. Truth activated the portal, and his fleet escaped just as the flood-infested cruiser crash-landed on Earth. This mission, Chief and the Arbiter must now turn their attention to containing the Flood, who have thrown a wrench into the defense of Earth. A very disgusting, slimy, pulsating zombie wrench. The plan is simple. Blow up the ship that they came in on and destroy the surrounding city. However, Chief and Arby have to fight their way through multiple waves of the consumed in order to stave off infection. The date of the game is November 17th, 2552. There's not an opening cutscene. There's just kind of an opening moment. You just
it's
get
just
your
like, brah.
Yeah. I mean, it's quickly changed to, it was dusk and it's into night now of, the longest day. And
Though, like, the cutscene literally right before this, it was like a nice sunny day, and then the ship crashed, and instantly it's like, this place has been infected for 30 years. Look at all the floody spores everywhere.
Yeah, I guess it spreads fast, right?
It goes very dark very quickly.
How do you, the atmosphere, to your point, the atmosphere is dark and it's kind of eerie now. I love kind of looking around the skybox because you see that you can finally get a really good look at the portal. And
yeah, it's real cool at the start.
See how massive it is.
Yeah, it's almost like just kind of this big humming orb in the sky while like the tone of the game has gone from like completely epic opening the portal to everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
And that portal is going to watch us die.
Right.
Yeah. Important things just about the start of this game. Start of this mission, sorry. You don't have any carry-on stats from the previous level, so you'll always start the mission with battle rifle and assault rifle. You'll never carry whatever you just had.
Oh.
All the Marines and characters around you that were there are now gone.
Yeah.
With no explanation. It's just the way it starts.
Yeah, which is cool. Because
Bungie's like, nah, you can't start this level with a fuel rod cannon. I can't let you do that.
Yeah, no turret to start. Sorry.
Though at the very beginning of this level, they give you a gravity hammer, so it's like, come on, Bungie.
Oh, they do? I didn't find that. Where is it?
So it's once you start, it's when you start entering. It's right before you enter that first building. There are a bunch of dead brutes and stuff. One of them's a chieftain, and underneath him is a gravity hammer.
Oh, very nice.
So that'll be on your left as you head through that kind of corridor of buildings.
Very nice.
You kind of get to wander around a little bit, then kind of just soak everything in. And, you got Arby right there. He's got his sword ready to go. And then Miranda pops on the comms and she says, the flood is spreading. And she orders Chief to go to the crash site where the flood just came in and essentially just blow up that ship. That's our explanation for everything in Halo is just, hey, just blow up the reactors of that ship and everything will be great. So that's the plan now, and she's not effectively going to blow up, or the plan is to effectively blow up the ship, and the explosion should be big enough would be big enough to blow up the city, and then anything, all of the flood and everything else around it. So they're pretty much just kind of sacrificing this city in order to contain the flood.
And most of the people in the city are probably dead from the Covenant anyway, so I'm sure casualties would be minimal compared to the flood. And also, flood shows up somewhere, we'll just nuke it, solve all our problems,
Those
have
poor
a
workers,
problem?
though.
Why not try nukes?
Those poor workers, though. Those guys that are just hanging around in
they're all floody now.
Yeah, they're all flooded. That's true. All right, let's head down the hill here. And this is actually a short mission, so this walkthrough won't take a ton of time. But there are some interesting things to note along the way. This is also the time we haven't backtracked much yet. I mean, in what was it, Crow's Nest, we kind of backtracked around that whole bunker, but you kind of had to because that mission was all contained. But this is our first time where we're starting to go back, like CE, where we always go somewhere and then a couple missions later we go back.
Yeah, it's like the assault in the control room where you fight up to a place, and then 2 betrayals where you then fight back when it's infected with flood.
Yeah.
So it's similar,
which is kind of nice. I don't mind it just because the warehouse kind of scenery in this makes a really good just setting for the flood.
It also feels very different. They don't actually feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
The flood?
The 2 missions. You're fighting in the same area. It actually doesn't feel like the same.
Yeah, it's different enough. Well, just they've changed the it's dark. Things are destroyed, so yeah, they did a good job with that. Right at the start there is a skull right away, so you kind of head down the hill, and then there's one flood on the top of the building that pops up. You hear like a scream in the background, and then there's a flood that pops up on this top of this building, and you need to shoot that flood before he just launches himself across the sky and then off into the distance or into some building. But if you kill him, he'll like chuck the skull. The skull just like fly out of his body, and then you just run and pick it up. I had to do it a couple times in order to him to drop it right. Some of the times that he dropped it up on the top of the building, other times I just missed him. So it took me a couple of times just to reload that checkpoint and get it. That's the fog skull, and I looked it up this time. This is the motion detector is disabled.
Boo.
Which isn't too big of a deal for me. I don't really use my motion detector that much.
What?
I mean, I always have to remind myself, oh yeah, I can.
I always use the skull.
I don't even look at the screen anymore. I just look at only the motion detector.
Yeah, so this seems like easy bonus points, right, David?
Yeah, pretty much. It's an easy skull to throw on.
Nice. All right, so then we kind of wind through now this little area that we just came out of with Arbiter and the gang. And remember, we had this is where we got that little sermon from, or at least that hologram sermon from Truth. And now we hear kind of all this just screaming and just kind of these weird floody sounds. And then there's some Marines off in the distance here that you get to run towards. But then if you look to the left, then that's when you see the flood like just launching themselves over this building, and there's some poor souls that just get consumed and converted instantly at the bottom. So, there's not much you can do. At least I don't think you can save them. I didn't save them.
You can. Well, no. The very first bunch of Marines, I don't think they're savable. I think it'd be very difficult to do so. They seem
the Marines are the floods right on top of them right away.
Yeah.
So they get converted. I think it's interesting, and we'll kind of talk about throughout the mission here, is the floods seem very different in this game than in Halo 2. So they've done a good job of evolving the flood, the look and feel, and how they move and things like that. It's very apparent.
Straight away, you're introduced to brute flood forms.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to comment on. Is it's very apparent the difference between the human flood and the brute flood. The brute flood are huge and super intimidating. Like they're monsters, and yeah.
I honestly,
go
sorry.
ahead. I was going to say anything you want to say about this opening area here.
No, I just wanted to make a comment on just the Halo 3 flood is probably the easiest flood to deal with in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would say so. You can actually headshot them.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's like their time to kill is less than the other flood.
Like a one-hit kill headshot. Like the little tentacles, red tentacles coming out of the center of their body is a one-shot kill for a battle rifle.
Oh, okay.
I would agree with that only for these type of forms, but when we get to the next type, they're like bullet sponges.
They're a
the
pain.
most difficult one. Yeah.
They are a pain in the ass. Just the basic flood forms are way easier in this game. And also something interesting is just, I mean, we're about to walk into watching someone act. There's actually a transformation animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Which I think is really cool. So it either goes, you can either see someone alive getting transformed or a dead body getting transformed.
Yeah.
And also the dead bodies will reanimate unless you punch them, kind of like in Halo 2. So you can kind of just destroy them and then they won't reanimate. But just in general, I like this flood just because they do feel less bullet spongy and there's a place to actually aim for on them.
Yeah. And they feel dead, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's like zombie games in general. You would think it shouldn't take too many bullets to take down a dead person because they're already dead. They definitely swarm and they can overwhelm you, and it feels like maybe it's just been a while since we've fought the flood, but it feels like there's maybe a couple more flood in each encounter, and it feels like there can be quite a bit. But to your point, it's not too difficult to take down them individually, and if you take your time or chuck a grenade and kind of clear them out or thin them out, then the encounters aren't too difficult. I was playing on heroic, and I didn't really have. I think I maybe got overwhelmed once, but other than that, that was the only time I died in this mission.
Yeah, same here. I got through it pretty smoothly for a flood mission. Also, the way that they made the flood talk is like the scariest thing ever. It's so weird.
Go on.
Like, it's just kind of that kind of...
Oh, just that high-pitched sound thing that they make?
No, they actually say words.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
No,
They'll actually talk. Like, half the time you can't really understand it, but once in a while they'll say something. But it's interesting because
I've never noticed that.
Really?
No,
okay,
never.
well, they talk. It's like in a wah 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 kind of voice. They kind of sound like the elites from Halo CE for some reason. I don't know why, but it's kind of this really creepy kind of sound coming from everywhere. They did a really good job with the sound design with making it seem like there are multiple voices talking at once.
Oh, interesting.
It's very weird. So next time, yeah. If you replay the mission, maybe it's because I would have been your daddy on or something, that they were a bit more talkative. But as I was playing through the mission, they were talking quite a bit.
Weird. Where's the flamethrower? There's a flamethrower here somewhere, right? I didn't find it.
As you
really
okay, as you progress through, okay, you. Do you want to just kind of continue before?
Okay, so we're not there yet.
No, just a little bit further.
All right, so we clear out this initial area right in front of these big doors, and then we can't proceed through the doors that we kind of came out during the last mission, but we can go through. There's like a little office area off to the right, so you go through there, and that's where Krysta was talking about. You see a transformation.
Now you can save him.
Okay, you can.
You can, yeah.
It's really interesting just watching the whole animation, though. I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I think I was a little too slow on this playthrough to save him, so he converted, and then I killed the flood. So now let's do a little refresher of all the flood types again. So we have the infection forms, the little guys, and then we have the carrier forms, which we see later on, which are the big bulbous guys. And then what do we call these? Are we call them the combat forms? Is that
kind
of everybody
combat
else
forms
right now? Okay, so the combat forms can be a human combat form or like you said, a brute combat form.
It's basically any species that's been converted, just in general. I mean, the kind of the lifespan of a flood is they go from infection form, and once they infect something, they're immediately a combat form, and then eventually they become a carrier form.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, there's just lots of flood to destroy here. So you're just heading back through the warehouse. I feel like I need to mention this just because I've been into Mega Bloks, but there is a area right in here which is a set. So it's called the Floodgate set, and it's based off of this kind of that. So you kind of clear the area here. You keep going through the warehouse, and then there is a kind of a little ramp and some stairs you got to head up and around before you go down that hole. So that is a set right there, kind of that kind of that walk, that catwalk.
Interesting that you would mention that, Colin, because that's exactly what a flamethrower is.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
And
up there
I think
on
there
that
is a
catwalk.
flamethrower in the set. That's amazing.
Colin, they know everything. Is there like Flood? Is there Mega Bloks Flood?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's pretty
weird.
rad. And you also get a vehicle. You get one of these little yellow, I don't know, vehicles that are sitting around. That's the other. That's part of the set as well. It's
like
pretty
little forklifts.
Yeah.
Okay. Just on that, this was interesting, so I thought I included it, but it doesn't have a verified source, so I'm just going to say that straight off. The Marine with the flamethrower is actually is two-dimensional and has no scripted actions other than 2 shots and a death animation. However, the corpse can be infected and become a normal combat form.
Oh.
So I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
And so now, where exactly is it? It's on top.
It's on top of that catwalk. As you approach it and you look up, there is a live Marine with a flamethrower shooting it, and then he instantly dies.
Oh, okay. I see.
And then you get the flamethrower.
Then you get the flamethrower.
I don't know. I must have just missed that because I was, shooting flow with my shotgun. Yeah. What were you guys rolling with? I guess we didn't talk about that yet. Are you definitely a shotgun for me? And I think I did BR so I could get some of those headshots.
Yeah, I dropped the assault rifle as soon as you get to the first weapon drop with shotguns. Now I did bouncer. Obviously, I picked up the flamethrower, and I'm pretty good with that, so I kept that for a long time. Mm-hmm. Once I dropped that, I think I used a spiker, and even for a little while, like dual spikers. They're kind of fun. And then I eventually got some melee weapons, because as you get further in the mission, you find swords and hammers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the end.
Krysta, what about you?
I did pretty much the same. I rolled with the shotgun and the BR until I got the flamethrower, and then once that ran out of ammo, I pretty much stuck with the BR the rest of the mission.
Okay. It's very competent. I mean, the shotgun works, and you get shotgun ammo along the way for this mission. I think maybe you had to drop it towards the tail end of the mission, but you can haul that around a long ways, and then the BR, there's lots of BR ammo, I feel like.
Yeah, there is. Every time I was about to run out of BR ammo, I found another one.
Nice. All right, so we're up on that catwalk. We grab that flamethrower, and then we head down this little hole here, and then we get to see Cortana again. Little Cortana moment. She says, "Chief," and then there's kind of like some muffles and whatnot. She says, "I can't tell you everything. It's not safe. The grave mind. ... It knows I'm in the system." It's more or less, and then it just kind of cuts out. So you get a little flavor of what's going on here. We've talked about these moments in past episodes already. This one feels different.
Well, this directly correlates to what happens at the end of this episode, in the end cutscene. And so Chief is actually seeing this before he sees it, which is strange. Mm-hmm. I guess we can talk about it more once we get to that part and find it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more. So we'll keep going. So yeah, we kind of head through this little area here and wind back through. There's more ammo and guns and stuff if you want to get some more, but you need to kind of wind through this little corridor areas. And it's also nice having Arbiter there. Like fighting the Flood, you're not necessarily side by side with him the whole time, at least at the start of this mission. But now you kind of like re-shoulder up, and you kind of get to go through this area. But around pretty much the first corner here is where you get a little bit overwhelmed with a bunch of Flood right away. So if you took a second to relax, you might get a little startled by some more Flood here. Proceed through there, and then this is where we see that freaked out Marine, right?
Yeah, yes. I was going to mention him. There is a suicidal Marine who has a striking resemblance to the paranoid Marine from Halo Combat Involved. He's in the mission 343 Guilty Spark in the first game. He shoots the player in that game, and thinking the Chief may be Flood controlled. In this game, just the player can come across both Paranoid Marine and Suicide Marine in the first level where the Flood is fought in the respective games. So that's kind of cool. So this guy just kind of talks about he had to kill his own team because he thought they were infected with Flood. I very much got the impression that they weren't, and that he just killed them.
Well, all of the dead bodies are uninfected.
Yeah, same. So and I think you do get negative points if you kill this Marine.
Oh, I killed him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you do. In terms of the scoring, it still counts as a negative. Even though I think, does he attack you at all, or did he just sit there?
No, he just mutters, and he looks like he's gonna shoot himself in the head, but he never does.
Okay.
Pussy.
God.
Damn, Krysta.
He for some reason I sat there and I was stared at him for a while just to see what he was going to do, and we haven't talked a whole lot about the design of the Marines, their armor and stuff like that, but if you want to get a good look at the Marines armor, just stare at this guy for a while. It's pretty cool. I really like how they design their armor and their helmets and things like that. All right, so we will run away from this hysterical guy, and hopefully, not murder him like Krysta would.
I set him on fire.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You just kind of set him free, right? You put him out of his misery?
Well, I mean, he killed a bunch of people, so...
That's true. Justice. War justice.
I'm sure he got flooded if you left him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we proceed through this next area, and then we kind of get back outside, and now we kind of get one of those little, mini cutscenes. It's not a full-on cutscene, but this is Urtas, right? Urtas is coming in. Shipmaster.
Yes, our beautiful, beautiful shipmaster.
Mm-hmm. So did they just get here, or have they been here the whole time? I'm trying to remember. Where has Urtas been?
They were all the way over where Miranda Keys was, activating the Ark. Where did that happen? Where was Tartarus? What, that was on the Halo?
Yeah. So
yeah, the Halo.
But have they been on Earth or kind of in our area for a while? This is the first time we're seeing him, right, in Halo 3. But he must have been helping out because, we're now with the Arbiter and all that sort of stuff. But we haven't really talked to him at all in Halo 3.
No, I don't know where these were, because obviously Miranda was on Earth afterwards, so
yeah.
She must have been separated from the Arbiter. So I don't know where Urtas came from.
Yeah, I think they all made their way over to Earth at some point because, this faction, or at least the elites, are now fighting. They're more or less allied with humans, so they're fighting against the Covenant as well. So there may be documentation somewhere like where they were exactly, but I think they're helping us out. But Urtas shows up here in his army. What's his ship called? Is it Shadow of Intent? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just on that, this is the first mission where Sangheli allies, other than the Arbiter that you have, are encountered in Halo 3. So just that interesting kind of note.
Yeah.
It's also the only mission, or the first mission, where there is no live Covenant loyalists. By that I mean Covenant that you actually fight and kill.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
They're all just Flood that you fight in this mission.
So we partner up with the elites here, and Shipmaster more or less says that for the humans, like, he's going to help clear out the Flood. So, humans, stay clear. We're going to take care of this right here. And then you get to see some of the drop pods drop down, and you see the elites pop out. And so you start, to your point, you said earlier, now we're allies with the elites, and they're fighting with us against the Flood. So we proceed kind of further, and you can kind of see some fighting down below. And you can either, I think you do actually have to hop down below, and there's lots of swords that just kind of drop here. Do you guys roll with the sword at this point?
Oh yeah,
do energy sword?
Sword is amazing for fighting Flood.
Yeah, I had some good luck with it as well. So it was good. It was good in Halo 2, I remember, and no different in Halo 3. It just slices and dices through these guys.
Yeah, well, I still have my flame sword at this point, so I still use it up to the hill.
Mm-hmm. Krysta, what did you drop for your energy sword?
I didn't pick up an energy sword. I kept with my shotgun. Yeah.
Oh, and your BR combo?
Yep. Yeah, I just kind of stuck with that the whole time.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the shotgun. Just as long as you have ammo, you're good to go. Plus, more energy swords will drop along the way, so you can always pick one up down the road.
And also, the Flood are very precariously close to the edges, and sometimes during the lunge, I lunge right off of the edge. So I stopped carrying that in this mission.
Yeah, probably.
That's why you use the B attack, Chris. They're just a normal melee.
Normal melee is lame.
Soul being Krysta Brown. Hot damn.
Oh.
So at some point in this area, because you are fighting side by side with your elites, the Arbiter will actually have a conversation with one of the Sangheli Major, and I'll just kind of want to read this dialogue. It's just interesting. I like going through the dialogue in these missions, especially because so much of it could be missed, and it is relevant to the story. So Thel says, "My brothers, I fear you bring bad news." And then the Sangheili Major says, "High Charity has fallen, become a dreaded hive." And then Thel says, "In the fleet, has quarantine been broken?" The Major says, "A single ship broke through our line and we gave chase." Then Thel says, "But we had a fleet of hundreds." And then the Major says, "Alas, brother, the flood, it has evolved."
Ooh.
Cool. Never noticed that before.
Yeah. So they have a little convo. And so I think that's kind of explaining how the one flood ship broke through and came to Earth. That feels like kind of that explanation.
I think that this ship wasn't sent by Gravemind at all.
Oh.
I think it's in human weakness. If I'm remembering correctly, this was sent by Cortana to deliver the thingy.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
If I'm remembering it correctly.
Maybe you try to do a little research there and confirm, and we'll keep going on the walkthrough, because that'd be great, a cool tie-in. All right, so we had that little conversation, kind of gives you a little bit of more context as to what's going on with the flood, and we just gotta go along this cliffside and then up this ramp, and this is where we finally see some carrier forms, and we get to pop those, and all their their little infection forms spread out, and they're fun to always just shoot with a shotgun or punch or whatever you want to do with those. So we head up this hill, and then it's just flood and flood and flood. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, is this a fun thing to explain in a walkthrough? Because it's just flood. There's like a weapons hangar, or a vehicle hangar that you kind of go through here, and just kind of getting overwhelmed. The next interesting point is really when you get further up, and then when you see the actual the new kind of flood is really the next point, where you have that little turret up in the next area.
Yeah.
So why don't we kind of pick it up there? What are these new guys? Who are these guys?
So these guys are called pure flood forms. If you watch them closely, they actually shift between 3 different forms. It is the stalker form, which kind of looks like a weird crab spider thing. Mm-hmm. It is the ranged form. The
crab thing is the things that like are all on all fours. They move super fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They look kind of like a spider or a crab, and they move really, really fast.
They don't really attack you in this form.
No. They're just annoying.
They just position themselves.
And then you have the most bastard of forms, the ranged form.
I hate it so much.
Oh, later in this game we have so much to talk about.
So what do those things shoot? Like, what are they shooting when they transform into that thing? Do you guys know? It's like, it looks
quill?
like it's plasma or something maybe, but not, because they're not.
They're actually like little spines or something. I don't think we know exactly what they are. It's not in this article I'm currently reading.
Okay. Yeah, so it's interesting. They've had time to work on the game, the flood, and they always want to evolve gameplay. So, and I think it definitely adds an interesting element. I didn't even realize before we were talking here that the pure form was all 3 of those different types of flood. I thought that was just they were all just kind of their own thing.
There's a cool animation where you can see them.
The tank form is the big hulking form. That kind of is like a hunter kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. Yeah. It's the animation's cool where you see it transform. But the ranged ones suck so much. I hate them.
Yeah, they do like a little turtle thing where they like ball up when you shoot them, and you can't kill them when they do that. It's so annoying. But just some lore behind these forms. So these pure forms are called pure forms because they're not actually they don't actually use a host body at all to create these forms. These forms are made from pure flood biomass, which can only actually be done, which can only actually be done when there's a Gravemind present.
Okay.
The Gravemind, of course, as we see later, just kind of corrupts everything around it and just creates layers and layers of biomass. So that's how they're created. A grave mind has to be a fully grown grave mind that has accumulated a huge amount of biomass, i.e., everyone in high charity, to create these kinds of forms.
Right.
So
Okay.
so that's why we haven't seen them in the past. The grave mind in Halo 2 didn't actually have access to a big enough biomass to create these pure flood forms.
Interesting. Or at least that's how they explain it away.
Yeah, that's how they explain it away. There are actually two other forms to these pure flood forms: the infestor form and the spawner form, which we don't actually see in any of the games. So, but they're in this article.
Gotcha. Yeah, so now we just have to deal with all this stuff. You actually see the ship off in the distance, which is pretty cool. And that was the goal, right? From Miranda, is to go get into that ship and blow it up. So you just kind of fight through all the flood here. Pick your favorite weapon. There's lots of options here. I think I just stuck with the shotgun and the energy sword as much as possible.
I think it's here or somewhere along here where the mission parameter changes, where there's a piece of conversation where like the elites are looking for something. They're looking for Cortana.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So like your mission quickly changes to get Cortana and not blow up the ship, because literally it's never mentioned ever again.
Yeah. The right. That was kind of interesting. I guess the way I took that was that, okay, Urtas is here and he's just gonna deal with the flood. Kind of, that's what he says anyway. So yeah. Then what we need to do is get into the ship, because that's where Cortana apparently is. There's two paths. You can go up, you can go high, you can go low. I think I went high for the most of the time, all the way down, and then just kind of. I ended up taking my time this second time here. I played it recently, the whole game recently, and I think I struggled a little bit in this area, but now playing through it again, I took my time and just cleared out everybody, and it wasn't too big of a problem on this area. But outside of just the guys that hang on the side of the wall and just pepper you with their whatever they're peppering you with, their thorns or something. And then we get up to the building, or up to the ship there, and get to climb up the side of it and down. And now we get a Gravemind moment. And this is a super weird thing, because the treatment is you stop in your tracks, similar to the Cortana moments, but it has like this weird zoom out thing going on, and like the whole screen shakes. And the first one says, "Do not be afraid. I am peace. I am salvation." So this happens kind of, you drop down, get into, and you kind of see a dead elite off on the side. And then the Gravemind starts to talk to you. How are you guys feeling about that? David, do you like this? You like what's going on here?
I prefer the Gravemind to Cortana moments in terms of, I think it's clearer what's happening. It's also a more, the Gravemind is just this threat that exists. You never really interact with him except for that one time. So it's good that it's brought back into the game, because the flood just seemed mindless and pointless. So I like the idea that there is a mind behind this threat. So I like that they remind you of that. Yep. And everything the Gravemind actually says is awesome. So
yeah, his quotes are amazing. Krysta?
I definitely feel the same way. I think anytime we get to hear or interact with the Gravemind is always so very, very interesting, because every line he says has like layers to it. Like there's of course the top layer meaning, but then once you start learning more and more about Halo and its universe and the origins of a Gravemind and the Flood, you really start to pick out different things that Gravemind says. Like the more I read in Halo, the more meanings I can take from Gravemind's stuff, which is really cool.
So I'm forgetting now. So we've played through these games enough and doing this walkthrough and all that. Like, we know who the Gravemind is, and if you just come to Halo 3 and just play Halo 3, do they mention the Gravemind at this point? I don't remember them doing that.
There is, in the end cutscene, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I think it's the first time where it's mentioned that what is happening.
I guess Cortana does say, in the little snippet you get during the Cortana moment, she does say the Gravemind. So you kind of at least have that name dropped. But tying that together as a new player, you won't necessarily be able to make that connection at this point. That's further down the road for Halo 3. But this mission does a good job of just saying, hey, remember the Flood? Yeah, they suck, and you need to kill them. And the other cool thing about this point here is we have one more Gravemind moment in a second, but I just want to talk about the ship and how there's really not much to do in the ship besides just kind of go and get Cortana here towards the end. But it's just the design of the ship, and with all the pustules around, and just the way that it looks wet and slick and and just gross. You can actually pop those pustules if you want, and then a bunch of infection forms will pop out.
Yeah, so if you want to really mess up your friend's day, it's amazing.
Is that what playing co-op is with Krysta?
Yeah, I pop all of them.
So yeah, you get to kind of explore a little bit here if you want, but there's really only one thing to do. And the further you get a little further into the ship, and then you get another Gravemind moment here, and that says, "I'm a timeless chorus. Join your voice with mine and sing victory everlasting."
Yep.
That's pretty badass.
Yep. That means many things.
It's a good deal.
Also, I found the name of the ship. It's called Indulgence of Conviction.
That's the one that crashed.
Yep.
Cool.
Did it say anything else about
No.
how it broke off or anything? Because I guess in my mind, without looking it up, it feels like the Gravemind just sent like a one-off ship just to say, hey, maybe we can go infect the Earth with this.
I don't know, because that doesn't make sense to me. Because it's literally just saying like, oh shit, more Flood might be on the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Or it might have been.
I would have to reread Human Weakness, or at least go through it a little bit.
Yeah, this could be just the one that got through the blockade.
Mm-hmm. But he would be driving it though, right? Like, because they follow his orders.
Well, yeah, because they're all connected to the Gravemind at all times.
Yeah, and so plus he's talking to you, so he knows that this ship is there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but to your point, like maybe Cortana was somehow able to take over the ship. So yeah, we got to do a little more research on that. So we'll follow up on that on the next episode. But let's go. So really the only thing to do is to go press X near that center console thing, and then we cue the cutscene. This is a long one, and David has volunteered to take us through what's going on here.
Good luck, soldier.
So this mission, I think we said it, I don't like it. It's not a great mission, but the cutscene at the end of it that you get out of it is crazy in terms of like what it covers, where you go, and it just pretty much sets up the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. And kind of like it has ramifications for the entire Halo universe, essentially spinning out of this. So what happens is Chief goes to pick up what he thinks is Cortana, a device of Covenant origin, and Cortana pops up, starts to speak, kind of. No.
Over she speaks a little bit.
Yeah, speaks a little bit. Over his shoulder, it like something happens. He turns around and he's faced with Guilty Spark.
Yes.
Comes flying down from obviously a Phantom was above.
Spark Bay.
So Spark was with Urtas, right? He had to have been.
He was on the Ark on Delta Halo with them. So
yeah. So he was with on the Shadow of a Tent because this is the first time. Yeah.
So he pops down and they have a great little conversation where Chief doesn't trust him, where Guilty Spark explains that you were trying to destroy my installation and you did destroy it. So now that's kind of broken him off.
He's like, hey, I'm a good guy now, guys. Trust me.
He pretty much says, I have only one function, and it is to help you kill the Flood. And John just kind of accepts it. He tries to take Cortana, and John doesn't kind of let him, pretty much, because he thinks this is Cortana, and she's in a damaged device.
Well, it looks like he's almost shooting it, right? Like he's just got that laser beam. You don't really know what he's doing.
It's a repair beam.
Yeah, it's just like a gravity beam where he picks things up. Anyway, so the cutscene then moves to on board the Shadow of Intent.
So it does. So you do see the ship kind of fly away, and then you see the rest of the Covenant. Well, I guess not the Covenant; it's the Elite's ships glassing the area.
That's right. That's right here. Yeah,
they're taking care of the Flood.
That's kind of important to note that at this stage the elites that are allied to humans are pretty much glassing this area. So for now the Flood is contained to the infection for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move to the bridge of this thing where you have all these major players now all gathered. You have Miranda, you have Chief, you have Hood, you have Ratas, you have the Arbiter, and you also have 343. So that's pretty much all the major players left that are on your side. It's pretty cool, yeah. And what it is...
And Urtas is in his floaty chair, which is great.
Yeah, he's in his floaty chair, and he's just being awesome. And the device, it turns out, is damaged, but it is not Cortana. It is a recorded message. So Cortana tells them, by 343 kind of repairing it a little bit, that the Gravemind is coming, that it is bringing High Charity to Earth to take it over. But it doesn't know that the portal exists, and it doesn't know about the Ark. I don't know how it doesn't know this, but that's what she says. And that if you go to the Ark through the portal, there is a solution to the Flood that is not detonating the Halo rings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of it. That's kind of the only kind of information that we get. So then there's a kind of discussion where Lord Hood doesn't think this is good enough. And she's clearly damaged. She could be corrupted. It's not good enough. He's not going to wager everything. The elites are straight away, 100%, we're going in. You know?
Right.
They don't really care. They've dealt with the Flood on this planet. There's kind of a cool, very heated moment that is clear that this alliance is new and fresh. Where Hood is giving out to them for glassing half the planet. And Ratas just says, "You're lucky I didn't glass the whole thing."
There's some posturing going on. There's some posturing.
Pretty much. And there's some great quotes in here. Things like a single flood spore can destroy a species.
Yes.
All this kind of stuff. It's awesome. Ratas is so good.
That's Krista's favorite right there.
Yeah.
That's a really good line.
Mm-hmm.
It's he punches the table. He gets a nice close up. He's really angry. Oh, also answering your question about why the Gravemind doesn't know about the Ark. This is going to harken into some deep lore from the Greg Bear series, but the Ark that we know is called the Lesser Ark, which was one of the most guarded secrets of the Forerunners.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
I mean, there was another Ark, the Greater Ark, and that was the one that the Flood destroyed. So I'm pretty sure the Gravemind didn't know about the Lesser Ark.
Cool. Then what we have is Chief pretty much and Miranda siding 100% with Cortana and going that, yes, you will go and stay and defend, and we'll go forward into the portal and bring whatever the solution is back to Earth. So I think Lord Hood just kind of takes this as a loss, and like, okay, everybody's leaving, I'm going to stay and defend. So he knows High Charity is coming, so he's going to prepare the defenses such as it is. I got the impression that the Flood infection was kind of dealt with by the way they were posturing and stuff like that before. So
this first outbreak, but I think it's just the perspective of the Gravemind landing on Earth, and we know how fast the Gravemind corrupts things.
And bringing High Charity in that's an insane amount of firepower and access that he has. That's
an insane amount of people, because last time we checked, the population of High Charity had more beings on it than Earth.
Yeah.
Crazy. by a large magnitude.
Yeah. So even if like half of those are infected combat forms ready to go, I mean, you're screwed. You're looking at an army pretty much as big as your population.
Yeah.
They need to make a quick decision, because as I kind of said at the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, Truth just went through the portal and he's going to do something bad, and then the Flood are here, and now the Gravemind is coming potentially. Like, we got to do some shit.
Yeah, so humanity is pretty much stuck in a very hard place where they have whatever Truth is doing on the other end of the portal, plus the Flood that are coming on the way.
I did find it interesting that usually, and so if you're watching a TV show and there's something like this where, like, there's a terrorist or what. For some reason, I think about 24 and like how he always has a speed dial to the president. There's no president in this scenario. It's like just Lord Hood has the power in Halo to send the fleet to run, because there's not enough time to really decide what to do. There's not that higher authority figure outside of
there
Hood.
Isn't, because of how the UNSC is actually structured, which is intentionally so in terms of when it comes to combat, they're in charge. Mm-hmm. When it comes to warfare, they're in charge. So
Hood is actually that figure, is what you're saying?
Hood is the figure. Yeah, there isn't anyone higher than him in this situation. So
Gotcha.
there'd be nobody for him to call. Like, he would be higher even than Oni and stuff like that, So
he could call Parangoski, but I'm pretty sure she'd be like, I don't know, just deal with it.
Yeah, they have a weird relationship in the books. It's interesting. But anyway, just to kind of wrap this up, because we need to get going, there is a great scene of Arbiter taking a rocket launcher and a flamethrower from the Marines, and the Sergeant Johnson collecting a beam rifle and a bunch of plasma rifles.
Carbines.
Carbines, yeah.
Which are bigger than his entire body.
It's awesome. And it's like this exchange of weapons between the two groups in this hangar. As you see the ships kind of getting themselves outfitted, troops kind of getting outfitted. It's pretty cool. And then there's just a weird moment where Miranda and John just kind of see off Lord Hood as he gets into a Pelican and flies off.
He looks very sad too.
Yeah, he sure he is, because Gravemine's on the way and everybody's leaving. He knows we're screwed.
There's got to be some. I mean, they have some force left on Earth to defend, but I think this. I love Halo 3, but we got so spoiled. We talked about in one of the other episodes, so spoiled with our blur cutscenes. I feel like there was a missed opportunity to at least show how much force is taken with them to the Ark. I just want to see like
leaving.
You see the ships leaving, but I just want to see like a scorpion or something. Like, show me some outside of like these couple Marines and these couple guns. Show me what else we've got to do or got coming with us.
I think it's
like the forward
just
onto Dawn
Amberclad.
Is the forward onto Dawn in the carrier?
Is it in Amberclad or forward onto Dawn?
It's forward onto Dawn.
Forward onto Dawn. Sorry, you're right. I'm pretty sure it's in one of the super carrier.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That was the impression. Like in the scene we're watching right now, it's a human ship and a Covenant ship, because they're in a hangar bay, all just hanging out. Mm-hmm. So
and then you only see the Covenant ships, or I guess the elite ships now. They're the only ones that go into the portal.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're massive. They're huge.
Yeah, I think it's just Miranda Keyes and her ship. There's no other human ships that go through here.
It's really interesting. I'd love to get a short story of what was happening on that ship, because there's probably a bunch of Marines that have been loaded onto this ship with a bunch of Sangheili.
Yeah.
They're like, I was fighting you 2 days ago.
Well, and I think that's why they show that kind of the intermingling, right, of the weapons and like all that sort of stuff. So they're trying to kind of say, hey, you guys are going to be fighting on the same side now.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Game mission over.
That's a hefty cutscene right there.
So we have a plan now.
We have a plan. And you know what I'm excited about? Is Chief finally gets to take a nap.
Aww,
gets
good
a little
boy.
rest. Now that he's going in slip space. It's going to take a couple days to get to the Ark.
Which is kind of crazy considering, and we'll talk about this next episode, they cover a lot of ground in just a couple days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. All right, let's do some community questions, unless there's anything else for you guys to add at this point. Did we get through all the trivia, David?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
Gus Sorolla is a voice for one of the Marines in this mission when you get to the first checkpoint. That's kind of the last thing I never kind of said. So he's from Red vs. Blue / Rooster Teeth.
He's Simmons?
Simmons, yeah, but I think it is just the voice of Gus in this moment. It's not him being Simmons or acting. He just has a line saying we're surrounded or something similar to that effect.
Very cool. All right, let's do some community stuff. Do you guys, who's got Discord, or Krysta, do you have Discord up?
I have
Maybe soon?
I'm ready for Facebook.
All right,
so
you do it. You do Facebook.
Okay. Colin Perkins, 14th of May at 10:26 p.m. posted. The Cortana / Great Might moments in Halo 3 were well done, full stop. Changed my mind, full stop. Open bracket. Question for mission debriefs / Floodgate episode, close bracket. This is what we got. Colin prostrating here. He's trying to get some aggro from you people.
I just want to kind of get people's thoughts because I've heard both sides, and I think we all appreciate it from a lore standpoint, but I wanted to kind of see what other people thought about it.
Okay, so we got Buddy Cool, aka Miles. Bungie's story is better than people realize. It's only through inconsistent retrospective nitpicking that it's so common at the internet that these are seen as bad. But I remember people giving out of them being bad at the time, definitely from a gameplay perspective.
Sure.
But I think from the story, I prefer reading what they are than I do actually playing through the game using them.
Mm-hmm.
J Speed says nope, can't disagree with you. David Arnold says boo.
Why did you boo me?
I'm booing you because
how dare you?
Good. You like them? I don't like them.
I thought you said you liked them.
I liked what they are. I don't think they were well done. I don't think from
Okay.
a gameplay perspective they should have sat there. They shouldn't have stopped you or impeded your play. If they want, do you know what I mean? They could have. I think they could have done it better in how they implemented what they were.
Sure.
But anyway, that's my opinion. Nate Bacon starts putting in crazy pet shop memes from.
That's what
whatever.
Nate does.
Yeah, that's what he does. It says he prefers Halo CE and Halo Reach for his storytelling. My only complaint, says Jesse White, is that the games, thus not the extended lore, don't do a good job of explaining who the Gravemind is, what exactly he's doing. That's nitpicky though. Halo 3 is fantastic. But I think you're right, Jesse. It doesn't really. James Whitmarsh. They would be awesome if we had a version of Krysta Brown sarcastically dubbing over them.
I saw that and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say now. Hey, you're going the wrong way. Turn back.
Perfect. And finally, Lucas Fitzer says, I was just not much of a fan of the Cortana Gravemind interruptions. I just wanted to get on with the story, not be slowed down and forced to sit through them. That's kind of how I feel, Lucas. Yeah, pretty much the same.
But they're not that long. I'm like, they're not that long.
Dude, when you're speedrunning.
I guess if you're speedrunning, but anyway, continue. Krysta, what do you got?
Okay, same question by Colin. Probably one of the strangest episodes of Change My Mind ever. Cortana and Gravemind moments in Halo 3. Not sure why. Matt says they're okay. You're going out, unless you're going out for part times. They add about 3 minutes and make me cry. So they're making Matt cry. So that's a good reason not to like them.
We don't want you to cry.
Hey, Physical Sky 128 says same reason for me. They didn't slow you to. If they didn't slow you to a stop and you could walk normally, they would be great. They add a lot to the story though. Min says, I think my big issue is that they grind the flow of the game to a halt. As people have said, if instead it just had a flicker in the corner of your screen and you hear them speak, it would make sense. Maybe have the slowdown only happen in Cortana when you're in such a close proximity to her, which is later. Goalie Sniper says, from a storytelling perspective, they're cool. From a gameplay aspect, it makes me want to throw my controller at the wall 12 years later. That's a long time to wait to throw your controller at the wall. I don't even keep walking forward anymore. As soon as that shit kicks in, I put my controller down, play on my phone for 30 seconds, and then go back to making things go boom boom. Min also says the best thing would be if there was an option to allow you to move freely while that happened, or even if they could be disabled. Redacted 17 says, here's a thought. What if the Cortana lines were made to be triggered by interacting with different terminals, like objects around different missions? Maybe they would all just appear on Cortana's portion of the Floodgate when you are in the cruiser and blah, blah, blah. It would make more sense than having them appear out of nowhere during gameplay. So he's saying that this would be better as like a clickable terminal video like we've seen in some of the other Halos. As for the Gravemind lines, they could appear on a terminal during missions. And that's about it. Cool. Discord's always weird because it's more of a conversation.
Yeah, that's true. I think they're well done. The Halo 3 is played a lot with friends, and a lot of people play with split screen, and they're not necessarily always paying attention to the story. So I think that's probably where that main frustration is. So maybe there was a way to limit the, I don't know,
If you put
brakes.
scoring on or something, you can turn
Yeah.
them off. Because the first time you play through the game, they're the coolest things ever. Right?
If you're playing
The first-
solo and you're just locked in and you're like, what's going to happen in Halo 3? And then that happens. It's awesome.
And then once you play it for the 30th time, you're like quoting it as it's going on. And you're just like, please stop.
Yeah. Yep, I can see that. Alrighty, anything to add before we leave?
Blarg?
Blarg, blarg?
Blarg, blarg, blarg. Wort.
Alright, more Flood to come. That'll do it for our debriefing of Floodgate from Halo 3. On the next episode, we'll be covering the Ark. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.